children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. On the 18th of April in 75, hardly a man is now alive who remembers that famous day and year. But on September 11th in 2001, a false flag operation was begun, and George Bush and Dick Cheney began America's slide to infamy and dictatorship. You're watching On Second Thought.
I'm Ted Gunderson, former head of the FBI in Southern California. I've furnished considerable information to B.J. Wagener. If you want the full story, you want to know what's going on, watch B.J. Wagener.
Welcome to On Second Thought. I am Brianna Moore, co-hosting today. Thank you for joining us where William J. Wagener gives you reason to have second thoughts. And now for the host and producer, the good guy in the white hat, William J. Wagener.
Well, thank you very much for the introduction. I am William Wagener, and we're going to show you some evidence tonight you have never seen before. Why?
Story of a man who says when it comes to Los Angeles, the CIA hasn't always played by the rules.
The agency has dealt drugs throughout this country for a long time.
1 minute, if you don't like what's going on here, please leave now.
It began to become apparent to me that guns were going one way and drugs were going another.
The CIA has issued a blanket response to all of this, denying any involvement.
My name is Mike Rupert, R-U-P-P-E-R-T. I did bring this information out 18 years ago, and I got shot at and forced out of LAPD because of it. I've been on the record for 18 years. We got on record everywhere we could so that if I did get killed, we would know. You know, somebody would know that somebody was saying something was wrong with CIA.
Mr. Speaker, members, I rise today really with a very heavy heart, one that is filled with sorrow for the families and the loved ones who were killed and injured this week. Only the most foolish and the most callous would not understand the grief that has really gripped our people and millions across the world. This unspeakable act on the United States has really forced me, however, to rely on my moral compass, my conscience, and my God for direction. September 11th changed the world. Our deepest fears now haunt us. Yet I am convinced that military action will not prevent further acts of international terrorism against the United States. This is a very complex and complicated matter. Now, this resolution will pass, although we all know that the president can wage a war even without it. However difficult this vote may be, some of us must urge the use of restraint. Our country is in a state of mourning. Some of us must say, let's step back for a moment. Let's just pause just for a minute and think through the implications of our actions today, so that this does not spiral out of control. Now, as we act, let us not become the evil that we deplore.
Welcome. I'm William Wagener, host and producer of another episode of On Second Thought. Thank you for coming in. I take my hat off for you people because you're probably the people that are going to save this country from the fascist Nazi-style criminals that have taken over the federal office of the president. And in many cases, such as in Elton Gallegly and Lois Capps, and 90% of our House of Representatives and 99 out of 100 of our U.S. senators, they're all going along with the unconstitutional criminal acts of our government. Criminals and murderers in her house, and some of them killed her.
That's right. And my understanding is they chopped her up pretty good.
She hated Jesus.
But see, that's tragic she died that way, and I don't mean to focus on that necessarily, but, you know, one person did all that. Madeleine O'Hare did. And if we, in this community, just have a couple people get seriously involved and effective, you know, I'm just one person, but I'm building up a team around me now to do the USA Tomorrow and to print millions of copies and put them out all over the country. One person inspired, one person with a plan, one person that works diligently to get out there and get focused on an aspect that you may read in the USA Tomorrow or an area of your life where you're called to do a certain thing. You know, I know there's many people out there that are called, many of you that are Christians that are called to do a certain task, and you're not doing it. We need to stand up. We need to be active. We need to get involved with.
And so I think we are in good company tonight with a prosecutor with a record like that. Vincent Bugliosi, come on up, please. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to thank you so much for coming here tonight to hear me talk about my book, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder. The amount of time to getting out the message of my book to the people of this country. And that's Eileen Proctor. Please give her a big hand. Busy since the book came out. In my book, The Prosecution of George W. Bush for Murder, I present evidence that proves beyond all reasonable doubt that George Bush took this nation to war on a lie, under false pretenses, and therefore under the law. He is guilty of murder for the deaths of over 4,000 young American soldiers who died so far in his war. You notice I said his war, not your war, not my war, not America's war, but George Bush's war. Now, I realize, I'm fully aware that the charge I've just made is an extremely serious one, but if there's one thing about me that I do take pride in, I never, ever, ever make a charge without making or offering a substantial amount of support for that charge. You may end up disagreeing with what I say, but you're going to be forced to concede, or you're going to have to concede that I offer much evidence in support of my position, something that people don't always do. I assume that most of you folks here tonight are Democrats, I think you are, and therefore most of the things I'll be saying tonight, you'll be partial to what I'm saying. But C-SPAN is also televising this. I think it's going to be taped. It'll be shown 3-4 days from now. In any event, there'll be people watching on C-SPAN who may not be partial to what I'm saying. So therefore, my remarks tonight are going to be delivered as if I were speaking to a more politically diverse audience, not just the people here in this room. I have long believed that most humans only see what they expect to see, what they want to see, what conventional wisdom tells them to see, not what is right in front of them in its pristine condition. In other words, they only hear the music, not the lyrics of human events. And in this regard, if any of you find it intellectually incongruous and therefore difficult to accept that a president of the United States could do what I say George Bush did, because, well, one would never expect the United States president to do such a thing, in other words, seeing what you expect to see, I say that you will be falling into the same unthinking trap that so many humans do. You have to disabuse yourself of any preconceived